We have previously seen how to create an agentic process. Let's look at another example. Our training team works with documents that are translated into different languages and must follow specific writing rules. So they need to be formatted with Markdown. The objective then is to create a process that allows taking a source document in Spanish, applies Markdown, formatting to it, and in parallel, translates it into a language specified by the user and applies the same formatting. As a result, the user will receive 2 Google documents by email, one corresponding to the formatted source document and the other corresponding to the translated and formatted document. We enter the lab, and in our project we have defined 2 agents. The expert translator agent, which translates text into any language, and the training document assistant agent, which applies Markdown formatting to the text it receives. This agent has integrated Google tools that allow it to save the generated content to a Google document. The user will receive the access link. Let's go now to the Agented Processes option. New process. We name it Training Agent and enter a short description. We edit the properties of the start signal. We name it User Input and set the type to Artifact, since the input is an object, in this case a source training document. So we click on Add and specify the name we assign to that object within the process. We type Training Document. To place the signal on the screen, we simply drag it and adjust the zoom using the mouse wheel. Okay, let's continue building the process. As we mentioned at the beginning, on one hand, we need to apply the required formatting to the source document. And on the other, we need to translate it into a specific language and apply the same formatting. So we need to open 2 branches or paths in parallel. We move to one side and choose to insert a parallel condition. We edit it and name it Training Tasks. We now define one of the branches that corresponds to the task of formatting the source document. So we add a task and name it Format Source Document. The agent in charge will be Training Document Assistant. We now enter a brief description of the task. We specify that it is responsible for applying Markdown formatting to the received document. As context, we indicate that the task is part of the training team's document management process. Although the agent's definition contains the guidelines for its role, here we also include the key instructions. We add here the fundamental guidelines as well. Apply the formatting to the document. Save it as a Google document and share the link with the user. The input is training document, which, as we've seen, corresponds to the input artifact. And the output will be a new formatted document. So we name it Formatted Document. To better visualize the process as we build it, we use the mouse wheel to zoom and drag to place elements on the screen. Okay, we already have one of the branches of our process. Now let's define the parallel branch that will translate the source document into the language specified by the user, and also apply Markdown formatting to the translated document. We open another branch and add a new task. We name it Document Translation and select the agent responsible for the task, which will be Expert Translator. For the description, we will specify that it translates the received text into the language indicated by the user. This leads us to define a process variable that we will call target language. We then add the task description. Remember that this syntax refers to the process variable. As context, we indicate again that it is a task within the training team's document management process. For the instructions, we indicate that it should translate the received document into the specified language. For the input, we specify training document, which corresponds to the source document, and for the output, we indicate a new artifact that we will call translated document. Once the document is translated, we need to apply the appropriate formatting. So we add another task. This task will be handled by the Training Document Assistant agent and will be named Format Translated Document. In the description, we specify that the task is responsible for applying Markdown formatting to the received document. As context, we indicate again that it is part of the training team's document management process.
The instructions will be the same as before. Apply Markdown formatting to the document and save the result in a Google document to be shared with the user.
The input for this task will be the output of the previous task, i.e., translated document. And the output will be the translated and formatted document, so we indicate a new artifact name. Okay, we now have both parallel paths defined. Next, we need to finalize the process, making sure that both are fully executed. This means that neither branch should reach the finish signal first.
To ensure this, we add a new parallel gateway that will act as a synchronization point, waiting for both paths to converge and reach the end of the
process. We add this definition, name it path synchronization,
and add the finish signal.
We are now ready to test the process. We click on Run Test and fill in the required fields. We enter the subject, upload the source document, and specify Portuguese as the target language. Then we click on Run. We can see that both paths start executing in parallel. The path that finishes first waits at the parallel gateway until the other one also completes, and the process then reaches the finish point. As a result, we receive access to the Google Drive documents by email. We receive the formatted source document, and we receive the translated and formatted document in Portuguese.